All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video. Are the Niners going to land Robert Saleh as their defensive coordinator? And if they do, what players potentially could be coming with Saleh to the 49ers? We hit that coming up next. But first, we're brought to you by Pig and a Pickle, the best barbecue in all of Northern California. Check them out. They're in Emeryville. They're in Corte Madera. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket chili. Tell them that Krug sent you. And this video is also brought to you by Better, the official daily fantasy sponsor of the Krug Show. Use Better to make daily fantasy lineups and win real money. Download the app below. Make sure you use the promo code Niners to get your first deposit matched up to $200. Everyone who does is automatically entered to win a free signed Ricky Pearsall jersey. We'll announce the winner on Super Bowl Sunday. Thanks to Better for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. All right, well, Robert Saleh. Is Robert Saleh going to come to the 49ers or not? All right. Well, the 49ers sound like they may be in a mix of, or in the midst of, it's Robert Saleh or maybe Brandon Staley. Jeff Ulbrich went to Atlanta, and Dennis Allen may join Ben Johnson with the Chicago Bears. So some of their other options are coming off the board, and it looks like the Niners are all in on Robert Saleh. The reports are that they're willing to make him the highest paid defensive coordinator in the NFL, and yet he's interviewed for Jacksonville, the Raiders, and the Cowboys. And there's a lot of talk that he may get the Jacksonville head coaching job, and in that case, are the Niners just going to hand their defensive coordinator position to Brandon Staley? We're going to find out. But it's pretty clear that Robert Saleh is their first choice. Why? Because even though Kyle Shanahan said that, we're open-minded. We may change our scheme. We're open-minded to switching our scheme. I don't think he really is. I think they want to stay with the 4-3. I think they want to stay with the wide 9. I think they want to stay with Chris Kasarik. And I think Robert Saleh checks all the boxes because he enables them to do all of those things, most likely, if he were to be the Niners defensive coordinator. So there's still a high likelihood that it's Robert Saleh. If the Niners don't get Robert Saleh and he gets a head coaching gig, do they go to Brandon Staley or do they open it up and start interviewing other candidates? I think they probably go right to Brandon Staley. I think it's Saleh or Staley. But if it is Saleh and the Niners get their first choice, who are some players who potentially could join Robert Saleh in San Francisco? And I'm going to give you 6 candidates that are all pretty good. We start with DJ Reed, the 28-year-old corner, who was a 5th-round pick, I believe, of the 49ers coming out of K-State. In fact, I did the first interview of him from his NFL draft party. And I thought at the time, man, this guy's cocky. But he has had a great career. And he's only got 6 career interceptions, which is kind of a low number. He had a 70.1 PFF coverage grade in 2024. Since he joined the Jets in 2022, he ranks 15th as far as corners, according to PFF, in their overall grade and 8th overall among corners in the coverage grade. So he's been really good as a Jet. He's been on the NFL's #1 defense both in 2022 and 2023. This year he had 64 tackles, 52 of them were solo, 11 passes defensed. He signed with the Jets for 3 years and $22 million in the 2022 season, and he started 46 games in 3 seasons with them. He only had 2 interceptions. And the only disturbing trend, if you look at his production, is he had 19 penalties over the last 2 years. He had a career-high 11 penalties this year alone. And New York did do well when he wasn't in there. They went 4-1 in the 5 games without DJ Reed. And there's a lot of talk that Arizona, with over $72 million in cap room, may make a big play for DJ Reed and take him away from the Jets and add him to their secondary in Arizona. But this is a guy that I could see following Robert Saleh to San Francisco if the Niners could get the money right. DJ Reed has got the ability to play the slot, but he has more experience playing outside. And to me, he would be a really nice alternative to signing Mooney Ward. So you have Lenore and you have obviously Renardo Green. If you could add DJ Reed at age 28, I think he still has a couple really good years left in him. He's very competitive, very cocky. He's got experience playing the boundary. He's really, really physical, despite the fact that he doesn't have the biggest frame. And DJ Reed very well could join Robert Saleh with the 49ers. The Niners will be looking for a corner this offseason for sure, and Reed would be a major upgrade on some of the guys they've had. So there's one guy that could join Robert Saleh in San Francisco, DJ Reed, and a guy that many Niner fans remember well from his early days in the NFL. Another guy who's really underrated, which would be a great addition for the 49ers, is the linebacker, the converted Auburn safety, Jamie Sherwood, who's a 25-year-old former safety, converted safety, played safety at Auburn. He's 6'2", 216 pounds, born and raised in the state of Florida. But what a year he had this year. Guy was awesome. He had 10 or more tackles in a game 7 times. He had 18 tackles in the Miami game. He had 17 tackles in the Arizona game. He had 7 tackles and 2 sacks in the Houston game. So 5th-round pick in 2021 by the Jets out of the University of Auburn. And these guys got special teams experience. He's a sure tackler. He's got long arms, 34-inch arms. He's a big-time hitter, and he can cover the tight end. He was the Jets' team MVP, and Jeff Ulbrich said it at the end of the year. This guy's one of the hardest-working guys he's ever come across, not just in the Jets' locker room, but in any locker room. He's an extremely hard worker, stepped in for C.J. Mosley and didn't miss a beat. He was Pro Football Focus's highest-graded Jets defender for the year. They gave him a 73.8 grade. He's a guy who has studied Cam Chancellor. He's studied Jalen Ramsey. This is a converted safety who's now playing linebacker, and he's got special teams experience. He's very, very productive. He's an undersized guy that needs big defensive tackles in front of him to keep bodies off his legs. But if you can keep this guy's legs free and let him run and hit, man, he's a hitter. He will run. He will tackle. Very sure tackler, big hitter. As I said, he can blanket tight ends. Jamie Sherwood. Niners are going to need to upgrade their linebacking core, and if they could add a guy like Jamie Sherwood to their linebacking core, that would be a huge get from the Jets for sure. And he's a guy that obviously played for Robert Saleh in New York. Number 3 on my list is Chaz Surratt. Chaz Surratt's a really interesting prospect. He was a quarterback. He went to East Lincoln High School in the state of North Carolina, and he was a decorated high school quarterback. He was a 5-star recruit and went to UNC as a quarterback and then converted to linebacker. That's how athletic this guy is. And he's just an incredible player, 6'2", 230-pound athlete. He's still kind of raw because he came to linebacker late. He's 27. He ran 4.59 at his pro day. Very, very strong. 27 reps of 225. That's a huge number for a defensive lineman, let alone a former converted quarterback. He was a first-team All-ACC player in college. As I said, he started at quarterback, very decorated high school recruit, great work ethic, and then became a very productive tackler at Carolina. Tough, smart, competitive. He had 28 tackles this year for the Jets in the 2024 season. He's a developmental linebacker, and he's with size and speed and ability. He still needs to be developed. He's not a big ticket item in free agency, but Chaz Surratt, when you look at that strength and that size and that speed and that intellect, he would be a good free agent to grab on the low end and see if you could build him up. Another guy that's familiar to 49er fans is Solomon Thomas. And Solomon Thomas is now 29. He's 6'3", 295, high-effort guy. He had 26 tackles this year, 3.5 sacks. He had 5 last year. He had a forced fumble this year. He had a fumble recovery. He played at Stanford. Then he became, was the top 3 pick by the Niners in their first draft of the Lynch and Shanahan regime. He played 4 years with the Niners, 1 year with the Raiders, and the last 3 years with the Jets. And he's just a high-effort guy. And Robert Saleh likes a high-effort interior lineman. And if you're looking for somebody, with Givens and Kalia and all these guys up front potentially moving on, if you're looking for a high-effort rotational interior pass rusher who brings lots of effort, Solomon Thomas might be your guy. Now, if you're still hung up on the fact that he was a top 5 pick and it didn't work out, that's not good. But if you're looking at him for what he brings right now, which is a high-motor player, who can play in a rotation. Maybe a guy like Solomon Thomas would be a fit, and maybe a return to San Francisco could be in order. Two other guys that I think could join Robert Saleh with the Niners. One is Leki Fotu, the gigantic mammoth former Utah Ute defensive tackle, 6'5", 340 pounds. He's 26, long arms, 34 and a fourth inch arms. A lot of people have suggested, hey, the Niners need to go get Vita Vea. Well, this is kind of like your poor man's Vita Vea. He was a fourth-round pick by Arizona in the 2020 draft. Only played one season of high school football. This guy was a rugby player who was such a good rugby player that he was good enough to play with the U.S. national team. And so he's late to football, only played one season of high school football, and yet he was first-team All-Pac-12 as a junior. He was a third-team All-American by the time he was a senior. He comes from a football family. Two of his brothers played college football. This guy is huge and naturally strong. And if you're looking for an odd front nose guard, this is your guy. If you're looking for a two-gapper inside, this is your guy. Natural bull strength. You can't move this guy out of the hole. So Leki Fotu from the Jets, another backup player, 6'5", 340. He could be a guy that comes and joins Robert Saleh. And the last one I'll throw out is the former Cal Bear, Ashton Davis, who's a 28-year-old safety, 6'1", 202 pounds. Had a pretty decent year at times this year. Had a couple of really good games. He had 9 tackles in the Miami game for the Jets. He had 9 tackles in the Buffalo game. He was a walk-on at Cal who was a hurdler who became a great college football player. I mean, he was a walk-on. He was a track athlete. He was a hurdler with, 4.4 to sub 4.4 speed. Walked onto the football team, and he's just an incredible athlete. I mean, he's got rare physical athletic ability. He became a special team MVP. He's a high character guy. If you're looking for a backup safety who can really run and play some special teams, and the Niners, between, they're probably going to lose Hufanga, so they're going to have Jair Brown and Malik Mustafa and George Odom. So those are going to be their 3 safeties. They're probably going to look for a 4th and a 5th safety. Maybe Ashton Davis could be one of those 2 safeties that they pick up because he's super athletic, super smart, has the local ties, could be a special teams ace, and has some upside potential. So there you go. Those are the 6 guys that potentially could join Robert Saleh if Robert Saleh winds up with the Niners. Ashton Davis, Leki Fotu, Solomon Thomas, Chaz Surratt, DJ Reed, and Jamie and Sherwood. All 6 of those guys could be candidates to be future 49ers if Robert Saleh ultimately gets named as the 49ers defensive coordinator. And as far as the other options, as I said, the options are starting to dwindle for the Niners at DC. Jeff Ulbrich is now the Falcons defensive coordinator. Dennis Allen's going to join the Chicago Bears, most likely, as Ben Johnson's defensive coordinator. And Lou Anarumo, who's another guy who is linked to the 49ers, has announced this morning that he is going to be the new defensive coordinator for Chris Ballard's Indianapolis Colts. So Anarumo to the Colts, Dennis Allen to the Bears, Jeff Ulbrich to the Falcons, and it's sounding more and more like Robert Saleh. And if the Niners don't get Robert Saleh, it might be Brandon Staley. All right, thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show, and thanks to our good friends at Better for sponsoring this video. We thank Better for being a proud sponsor of the Krug Show. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube. And, of course, thanks to all of our good friends from Better for sponsoring. And once again, everyone who signs up at Better automatically is entered into a drawing to win the free signed Ricky Pearsall jersey. We'll announce the winner on Super Bowl Sunday. And thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.